What's going on, pen friends? I got a lot of free time on my hands, a lot of ink on my fingers, and the lights are out in my apartment, so it might look like I'm filming inside a dungeon, but I'm going to rely on my lamp and hope that it doesn't look too bad. Pilot Iroshizuku Yu-yake. Now, it is Yu-yake, but I'm American and I've been conditioned to read this as Yu-yake, but I'm going to try to say Yu-yake. So if I do slip, you can leave a comment down below and tell me that I'm bad at everything, and I will agree with you. With that out of the way though, Yu-yake translates into English as sunset, and that's a pretty good name for this ink, I think. It's not exactly like a sunset, but it's pretty close. To me, it looks more like a really juicy orange, which is probably not a big shocker that an orange ink makes me think of oranges. Anyway, Yu-yake is a pretty middle orange. It's maybe slightly on the yellow-orange side, but I think that might actually just be the white of the paper coming through in the lighter spots, tricking my feeble human mind into thinking that it's a yellow or orange, even though it could just be lighter. So it's an orange, and it is gorgeous, regardless of how exactly it falls on the orange spectrum. Orange as a color family is probably my least favorite color. That doesn't mean that I dislike orange though. It just means that I'm not really inclined to go for orange if I'm choosing for a color. If I'm choosing a fruit, orange is definitely near the top. As a color though, I don't usually go for it, especially when it comes to my ink. Because of that, this is the first orange ink that I've tried. And now that I've tried this one, I actually really want to try more orange inks because I love how this looks. You can see for yourself how gorgeous this shading is. I think it's awesome, but it is an Iroshizuku ink, so it comes with all the pros and the cons that come with Iroshizuku ink. It's a premium ink with premium packaging and a premium price tag to match. And also, being an Iroshizuku ink, it's only a matter of time before Pilot discontinues it so that they can add another blue to their lineup, because they limit the Iroshizuku line to 24 inks at a time, and approximately 600 of them have to be blue. Anyway, this isn't about the Iroshizuku line in general, this is about Yu-yake specifically. So let's go over my testing sheets. So we have Clairefontaine, we got Tomoe River, we got Graphilo, and we have B7 paper, which is not B7 sized. That's the name of the paper. It's a stupid name, but it's a great paper, so I'm going to use it. Now, it is a shading ink, and I've seen that in a lot of shading inks, the shading is more of a matter of concentration and not a matter of the ink property itself. The shading is pretty continuous, or if you're writing continuously, not really existent until the ends of strokes, which I think actually looks really cool. It is more of a gradual gradient than the stark shift from dark to light spots that most shading inks that I've reviewed so far have. This is a gradual shift. There are spots, you can see, where it does have that stark shift from the dark spot to the light, but in general, it'll be a gradual gradient from lighter to darker spots. And I think that looks good. Now, it's an Iroshizuku ink, and they are known to be very lubricated. As you can see on these sheets, on Clairefontaine, it took a little bit over 20 seconds to dry. On Tomoe River, it took about 40 seconds to dry. On Graphilo, which takes forever to dry, it was not dry even after 60 seconds. And B7, which usually takes a long time to dry, it seemed to behave a little bit better with this ink, and it took just slightly over 30 seconds. I'm not sure what that's about, but I'll take it. Now, it is not waterproof, and it's not really very water resistant. However, if you're lucky, or on paper that seems to really want to behave for this ink, like B7, you might be able to, if you're quick about it, recover some writing if you get the water off of the paper before it really has time to soak in. I wouldn't count on it, and I don't consider it to be very permanent at all, but in the right circumstances, on the right paper, you might be able to recover a little bit. That really only seems to be the case with B7 paper, and again, I don't know what that's about. but I'll take it. As far as bleeding goes, like most Iroshizuku inks, it is very lubricated, which means that it does have a tendency to bleed on lesser quality paper. So it'll definitely bleed on copy paper, but that's to be expected. But even on some of the lower tier fountain pen friendly paper, like Muji paper and Kokuyo campus paper, in spots it will bleed if you have a wet nib or you put too much ink down. But on upper tier paper, like Tomoe River, like Graphilo, like B7, you're not going to have any issues with bleeding. So it does have a little bit of bleeding tendency. Now, feathering, it definitely has a tendency to do. It doesn't show up on Tomoe River or B7, and I don't even think it shows up on Clairefontaine, but in my Muji notebook, it feathered pretty much every nib that I used, and it even somehow managed to misbehave. Focus. No, don't want to. Managed to misbehave and feather a little bit on Graphilo paper, which I've never seen an ink feather on a Graphilo paper. Even the worst ink that I've tried, I've never seen another ink feather like that on Graphilo paper. So I'm not sure what that's about again, but it did happen. Now, that is on the featherier side. That is more feathering than normal. As far as flow goes, it is an Iroshizuku ink, so you can expect great flow. It is not overly lubricated to the point where it gushes out, but it is very wet and it flows great. I think for me, this is the right amount of flow. Now, for shading, in most scenarios where you're writing with it, it is fantastic. However, if you are drawing with it and you are trying to cover a large area with it and you're hoping for that shading, you're not going to get it. If you write continuously, as you see here in this box, or even in the boxes down here, the shading doesn't really show up until the very end of your strokes. So that is just a small knock against the shading. However, in every other situation, this is fantastic. On the flip side, it doesn't sheen at all. There is no sheening. That's not a bad thing. Not every ink needs to sheen, but it doesn't sheen, so keep that in mind. Readability is also, I think, good, but as an orange ink, it might be fatiguing to look at for long periods of time, so I wouldn't call it exceptionally readable, but I would still think that in most situations you can read this just fine. And permanence is, again, except for in specific circumstances on specific papers, it is not permanent at all. You'll lose what you write. Now, those were the semi-objective tests. Now I'm going to do a drawing sample while I go over my final thoughts. I like this ink a lot. I love the color, I love the shading, and I love the flow. The only thing I don't like about this ink is the price. But as far as premium inks go, the Iroshizuku line is probably the most reasonably priced. You get an awesome ink in awesome packaging, so you actually feel like you're paying for extra when you buy an Iroshizuku ink. I don't really love orange as a color family, but I like this ink so much that I have gone out of my way to try to get more orange inks. So that should tell you something about how I feel about Yu-yake. If you want to try an orange ink and you haven't tried this one, you should. Especially because you never know which Iroshizuku ink will be the next Tsutsuji and be killed off so they can add another blue. So, with all that said, I hope you liked this video. If you did, leave a comment down below and tell me what you liked about it. Or, if you didn't like it, you could leave a comment down below telling me what I can do to improve, because I always want to get better. If you're an orange fanatic and you have recommendations for oranges that I should try, you should let me know, because I'm on the lookout for what I should get next. And if you're not the kind of person that likes to leave comments, you can do all that other YouTube junk. Smash that bell icon, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, all that YouTube junk. Go ahead and do that. A link to where to buy this ink will be listed down in the description below. And also in that description is a link to my Instagram. So if you hate my voice and you hate my opinions, but you like my drawings or you like my writing, you can check that out, because I post drawings and writing there without the talking that I post here. So that's Yu-yake. I like this ink, and I like you, and I hope that you have the best day. Goodbye.